So looking at this current Bitcoin price action, we can see, guys, the price of Bitcoin right now looks like preparing itself for a very interesting move. I mean, Bitcoin right now looks like invalidating the bearish continuation pattern which we talked on my previous video, and looks like on its way towards the new high and even higher, because yesterday we found out Bitcoin was following this rising wedge pattern. Rising wedge is a bearish continuation pattern. I showed you, if this bearish continuation pattern plays out, our worst case target will be somewhere around 100,000, 101,000. But even if this worst case scenario plays out, it will be just a temporary pullback before expecting a U-shape or a V-shape type of recovery. I have been very clear about this move. I mean, even now, right? Even if this turns out into a fake out and Bitcoin starts with another reversal to the downside, you know, guys, in a bigger picture, this pullback will be giving us a great buying opportunity. And also with the Y-Cups reaccumulation, it lined up perfectly. I mean, I showed you guys, Bitcoin showing weakness, Bitcoin failing to break out of certain key line doesn't necessarily mean we are bearish. And even if the price in the medium short term starts showing a weakness to the downside, that could be a final pullback before expecting a continuation like this. Yes, guys, even if the worst case scenario starts playing out for Bitcoin, I have been very clear that could be just a temporary pullback before expecting another continuation here to the upside. But looking at it now, you can see Bitcoin looks like following another interesting formation. I mean, this here is a symmetrical triangle, and we know symmetrical triangle bias is neutral. I mean, it could be bullish, it could be bearish, depending on which trend line gets broken. So if Bitcoin really wants to show another bullish continuation, then you can see it must break the resistance from this upper trend line. I mean, if this symmetrical triangle bias is going to turn out bullish, then for that we need to overcome the resistance from this upper trend line above 109,000, because doing that means we are on our way towards the previous high and even higher. But if this fakes out, I mean, in the medium short term, Bitcoin looks like showing strength, but let's suppose this fakes out and Bitcoin fails to break out of this trend line. What in that case? Doesn't matter, guys. If this turns out into a bearish continuation pattern, even for that, what must the price do? The price must break the lower trend line. I mean, this lower trend line previously acted as a very strong support for Bitcoin. So if this turns out into a fake out, this bullish move turns out into a fake out and price start showing weakness, even in that case, you can see for an actual bearish continuation, we have to break out of the lower trend line. So since the price is in between this bullish and bearish range, I mean the upper trend line and the lower trend line support and resistance line, we need to be a little bit careful, because I don't want you guys to fall for any kind of trap. Because if you look at the price action here, I mean, if you look at this in a daily time frame, and if you monitor the indicator to the downside, you can see this RSI is clearly flashing us a bearish divergence, while the price here formed a higher high, RSI to the downside printed a lower highs, indicating disapproval. So that's why we still need to be careful. If Bitcoin really wants to show a continuation in validating this bearish move, then as I just showed you, we have to overcome the 109,000 resistance, because by doing that, we are expecting this uptrend, this bearish continuation to get invalidated and Bitcoin after that to start with a new bullish move. But as long as the price of Bitcoin remains below 109,000, we still need to be careful. I mean, if you monitor this lower trend line, yes, we are aware this lower trend line at the moment is acting as a strong line of support. And if you look at this in a smaller time frame, I mean, this exact scenario in a smaller time frame, you can see, yes, the lower trend line is our support, but each and every time, whenever the price failed to continue with an uptrend, what happened here? You can see we started with a move which looks somehow like this. I mean, we had it really fairly, but Bitcoin failed to overcome the resistance from this 0.5.618 Fibonacci line, which later resulted in a bearish continuation, right? Now, if you take another Fibonacci line from this high till this low, you can see Bitcoin is again approaching around 0.5.618 line. So if we get rejected, if Bitcoin fails to break out of 109,000, then you can see this will be turning out into another resistance for Bitcoin, which could be preparing ourselves for a continuation like this. I mean, lower highs continuation. So please, until certain line of support or resistance gets broken, I don't want you guys to jump into any kind of trade, and not just only because of the price action here, right? But even with the help of this indicator, this here is our leading indicator, which gives us information beforehand. And according to our leading indicator, you can see Bitcoin is still above our most important support, which is going to be around 105, 106,000, right? We are still above it. We are expecting this trend to favor the longs. I mean, despite Bitcoin forming bearish continuation here, right? Since we have opened above the CPI trend line, we are expecting this trend to favor the longs. But before expecting an actual breakout, before price starts with another continuation towards the monthly R1 line, the first bullish target for the month of July, what must Bitcoin do? I just showed you guys, we must overcome this 109,000 into proper support, because if we manage to overturn this resistance into support, I am actually expecting a continuation like this to play out and Bitcoin to get attracted towards the first bullish target for the month of July, which is around $112,300. Yes, guys, this R1 line will be attracting us if the price manages to break the 109,000 resistance into proper support, and it is also going to mark a new all-time high. But failing to do that, I just showed you, if Bitcoin fails to continue with a move to the upside, fails to overcome the resistance around 109,000, in that case, we are expecting a continuation like this to play out and Bitcoin to come for a retest around this CPI trend line one more time before choosing a direction. So in the medium short term, even if this bearish scenario starts playing out, Bitcoin failing to break the resistance line, then you can see we might come for a retest around 105, 106,000, but we know around that area we have extremely important support line for Bitcoin. Not just only support from this July CPI, but around that area we also have support from this Bollinger Band. And you know, guys, this central line or the basis line from this Bollinger Band will be acting as additional support in case of a pullback. So we know support from this Bollinger Band, support from the CPI trend line. But if I add another indicator, I mean, one is this CryptoAnup buy sell indicator, our personal indicator. Beside this Bollinger Band, you can see even our indicator will be acting as support, and along with that, this Williams Alligator indicator. I mean, Williams Alligator indicator, CryptoAnup buy sell indicator, Bollinger Band, and even this CPI trend line will be holding us above 105, 106,000. So even if Bitcoin fails to break out of this 109,000 and starts with a reversal before looking for an actual opportunity to the downside, please wait until the lower trend line support from this symmetrical triangle and the support from these indicators to be broken. As long as we remain above this trend line, any sort of a pullback will be just a temporary pullback, and price after that could be preparing itself for another continuation, which might look somehow like this. I mean, Bitcoin, as long as it remains above these indicators, above the CPI trend line, any sort of a pullback will be looked as a temporary pullback, and price after that to show a continuation like this. I mean, a bullish continuation pattern following this falling channel or a bull flag, and parallelly breaking out of this resistance line around 109,000, flipping that into support also means that we could do the unthinkable. I mean, for this scenario to play out, what must Bitcoin do in the medium short term? Bitcoin must overcome the resistance around 109,000, and if we manage to do that, then you can see the best case scenario according to this descending broad new edge is somewhere between 130,000, 140,000. Yes, guys, 130, 140,000 will be looked as our best case scenario if Bitcoin manages to flip this 109,000 into proper support. So doesn't matter whichever scenario plays out, you can see in a bigger picture, even if the worst case starts playing out, I mean, even if this Wyckoff's reaccumulation starts playing out, Bitcoin getting attracted back around 100,000, doesn't matter. In a bigger picture, that will be giving us a great buying opportunity. So in case of doubt, what I suggest you guys to do is just simply zoom out. So guys, these were some of the quick updates that I wanted to share with you in this video. If you enjoyed my work, then please do not hesitate to destroy that like button. And to those individuals who have not claimed these bonuses from Bybit, Phemex, OKX, then I suggest you guys to check the video description, because Bybit right now is giving around $30,050 in welcome rewards if you sign up using my link, which is given in the description down below. So if you are an experienced trader who want to take advantage of this market volatility and trade with free money, then definitely check it out. And by saying this, I'm signing out until next time. Bye bye.